So let's talk about a type of person we all know, right? The ones who just actively refuse to jump on the bandwagon, or maybe they seem to completely ignore popular trends altogether. We're going to get into the psychology of why they do it.
I mean, think about it. One minute, the entire internet is doing some new dance. The next, everyone's sharing their Spotify Wrapped, or they're frozen in place for the mannequin challenge. For a little while, it really feels like the whole world is in on the same thing. And then you've got the people on the sidelines, the ones who just scroll right past it all, who never post their year in review, who just, opt out. Who are these people, and what is going on in their heads? That's the mystery we're going to try to solve today.
Okay, so first up, the psychology of no. To really get a handle on trend resistors, we have to start with that instant gut reaction some people have when they feel that pressure to join in. It's this powerful, almost automatic nope.
And believe it or not, this reaction actually has a name. It's called psychological reactance. And it's not just about being stubborn or trying to be difficult. It's a real deep-seated defense mechanism that kicks in whenever we feel like our freedom to choose is being threatened.
And that feeling is intense. Think about being a kid and being told you have to go to bed, and all of a sudden, staying up is the only thing you want to do. It's that same instinct. The more a trend blows up your feed, the more it feels like this massive social pressure. And for a trend resistor, that pressure triggers a really powerful urge to just fight back and protect their own autonomy. But, it goes even deeper than just that knee-jerk reaction. For some people, conforming feels like a direct threat to their entire sense of self. It's not just that they don't want to do the trend. It feels like they'd be erasing a little piece of what makes them them. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, because it turns out not all trend resistors are created equal. We can basically split them into two totally different camps, the contrarian and the authentic. And understanding this difference, it's everything. So let's break this down. The contrarian, on one hand, is motivated by what's happening on the outside. They resist something specifically because it's popular. Their whole identity is kind of built on being against the mainstream. But the authentic non-participant, their motivation is internal. They're not against the trend, they're just indifferent to it. They're just operating on their own frequency, driven by their own personal interests. So one is actually still controlled by trends, just in reverse. The other one, they're genuinely independent. And this creates this really funny situation called the hipster paradox. It's wild, but mathematicians actually figured out that when a whole bunch of contrarians all try to be different in the exact same way, well, they can accidentally create their own new uniform. They become identical in their nonconformity. Okay, get ready for a major plot twist. We're moving on to section 3, survival of the different. Because this tendency to resist the group, it might not just be some modern personality quirk. It might actually be an ancient survival strategy that's hardwired right into our DNA. I know, that sounds incredibly dramatic, but just stick with me on this. Having people in the group who are naturally wired to go against the grain, well, that could have been absolutely crucial to our survival throughout human history. Just imagine an ancient tribe, right? If everybody follows the exact same path to the only known watering hole, what happens when that watering hole dries up? Well, the nonconformist, the one who wandered off to check out a different valley just because, they might have already found the backup. These people were basically survival insurance for the tribe, coming up with new solutions when the groupthink failed. This trait might even be genetic, linked to something called the wanderer gene, which is associated with novelty seeking. Okay, so it might have been great for saving the tribe from extinction, but what about the individual living today? I mean, does resisting every single trend actually lead to a happier, more fulfilling life? Well, there's a pretty clear trade-off here. On one side, living by your own compass can bring this deep sense of personal satisfaction, a real lack of FOMO, because your choices feel authentic. But on the other side, we're social creatures. Trends, for better or worse, create shared cultural moments. If you opt out of everything, you run the risk of opting out of connection too. And the research actually backs this up. A study from 2019 looked into this and found that neither total, complete resistance nor, extreme trend chasing led to the highest life satisfaction. The sweet spot, the happiest group, was the people who practiced selective participation, engaging with the stuff that genuinely interested them, and just ignoring the rest, no matter how popular it was. So all of this brings us to our final section, the freedom test.
It's time to kind of turn the lens on ourselves for a second and ask, what is our real motivation for saying yes or no to a trend? This is such a powerful way to think about the contrarian mindset. A shadow can't exist without an object to cast it, right? So if your entire personality is built on just rejecting whatever's popular, you're not actually free. You are literally defined and shaped by the very thing you claim to be so independent from. So here it is. This is the ultimate test question you can ask yourself. Think about something popular that you actively avoid. Now, if overnight it became totally uncool and everybody stopped doing it, would you still avoid it? If the answer is yes, your disinterest is probably the real deal. But if the answer is no, well, you might just be putting on a performance. And that's really what this all comes down to. True freedom isn't about automatically saying no to what's popular or blindly saying yes. It's having the ability to look at something and decide if you like it on its own merit, completely independent of its social status. And that right there is a skill worth building no matter where you fall on the trend spectrum.